You started exploring government contracts 2014 as a certified veteran business, and
Yep.
then you had some early success with FEMA.
FEMA was it was a gateway to work under a prime. Fail as many times as you can, but don't be afraid to try something because you're afraid to fail. That's when the real failure sets in, is when you steer away from something. Because
When you started, what were some of your early struggles?
I just learned the hard way. I'm happy I kept going. You don't just get certified and opportunities come your way. You get certified. Now the real work begins. Recipe to success in life is you try it, fail, you try it again, and you just keep moving forward. You never say no to the opportunity. You say yes. If you don't have capital and money to go buy these things, get creative, use
All right, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Robert Brown, owner of Broco Energy up in Haverhill, Massachusetts.
All right, and so we had a conversation. It's been since 2020, 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, you were talking about your experiences as a Navy Seabee, construction, and a background as a mason, and following enlisted in the military. Why don't you just quickly, for those who missed that episode, give people a little bit about your history and background?
Background, yeah, being I always did construction in somewhere, one form or another, whether it was structural framing of houses or masonry, rebuilding stairs. And after 9/11 happened, I was in college, and that's when I decided to sign up for the military, and trying to make sure I could utilize something, take job skills from the military, and apply them in the civilian world somehow. I chose the rate of Seabee steelworker, so the Navy Seabees, which is like the Navy Marine Construction Unit, and we were on the building side of that, so we did structural bridge repairs, we did rapid runway repairs or landing strips for quick exit or egresses out of areas. So we were just a support mechanism for the Marines and whatever they were forward operation they were doing.
Nice, nice, nice. And then you started Broco Oil with the SBA loan and a used truck. So
Yep.
tell us about that.
Yeah, that was an idea that I was generated from me driving for a local heating oil company, because up in the Northeast we have a lot of homes that still are heated by heating oil, and this is where the bulk of those tank heating oil trucks is up in the Northeast. So I took a part-time job, and I was a firefighter at the time, so I was working around my fire department schedule, and I was driving for this local company, and I was actually getting him a lot of business just through the brotherhood of the local veterans. A lot of the veterans up in the Northeast are either police or firemen, so those brotherhoods stay strong. They try to give back to whoever is in a trade. And my wife gave me a good idea that you should start this and do it on your own if you're getting so much business doing it and you enjoy doing it, because it was always a last minute deal. If it's a snowstorm and someone's oil company can't get out to them, they would call me, and I'd make sure I drove the truck out and got them the delivery ahead of the storm or during the storm. So it ended up being a unique business opportunity that just arose with a suggestion.
Nice, nice, nice. And when you started, what were some of your early struggles?
It was always, just lack of funds, lack of money. The truck that I purchased was a $7,000 oil truck. So when you buy an oil truck, them buying these things brand new could run anywhere from $250,000 to $350,000. There's no way I would ever pay that amount of money, nor had the money to do that. But an old clunker would do the job just as long as I can get it from A to B and it pumps oil. So having some skills enough to get me in trouble with mechanics, I was able to keep that thing running. And I used that first truck, and for the first year and a half, it was just me and that truck, generating business, passing out business cards, going door to door. So when we started, I had the truck, didn't have fuel allocation. I realized, I just learned the hard way. You think, okay, get a truck and some software, you're in business. No, now you have to get the allocation for fuel. Where are we going to pick up the fuel? I had to pick it up at a Joe Schmo. That was a competitor, and he charged me a premium just to fill up the truck. But I had to just get my name going somehow. So I was willing and able to, withstand, not getting paid for the first actually few years, because I was able to just reinvest whatever we made into the company to eventually get a second and a third truck. So, it was a foundation that was set, but that was blood, sweat, and tears. It was those were struggling years, and 2 years into it, I almost said, what is the purpose of me doing all this work? I get zero benefit. But I look back at that and I'm like, I'm happy I kept going, because I had good people around me that were giving me word of mouth referrals. I had the support, and everybody around when they see a veteran starting a company, I think a lot of people will go out of their way to help support that veteran small business.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I see that happening more and more. And it's interesting. So you started exploring government contracts 2014 as a certified veteran business, right?
Yep.
And then you had some early success with FEMA.
Yeah, FEMA was it was a gateway to work under a prime.
Okay.
So, when you get certified, it was all good. People will help you get certified. And I was told, get certified, but you don't just get certified and opportunities come your way. You get certified. Now the real work begins, which is you getting your butt out there and getting yourself to conferences, networking with other companies that are SDVOSB, or even just any certified company that's woman-owned business, minority-owned business, DBE. These companies have all went through the same types of struggles as an SDVOSB or VOSB, and you hope a lot of them will pass it forward. If you get to someone that's industry specific to your industry, then you might see that wall go up, and they don't want you exploring too far because you're potential competition. And that's me going out of my region and utilizing the resources like yourself or referrals and network that you have that I don't. And it's just leaning on other veterans that can help and are always willing to help other veterans. That's the best part about our community is, we embrace each other. We don't really look at each other as competition. We want to help because everybody is kind of cut from the same cloth, and we have good intentions. We just need some guidance and support, and the success follows along, because the ambition to just start a business is enough in itself. It's bold. You're taking a lot of risks, just like when you signed up for the military. So, I'm always I was always happy for the connections I made, and I'm always willing to pass it forward any way I can, of being some sort of mentor or even a sounding board for people, asking for advice or just, venting out when they don't get a contract, because it is frustrating.
That's right.
And there's a lot of things. I was throwing shit at the side of the wall for a long time until something really stuck out and gave me a good opportunity to be a prime contractor. So the FEMA was a gateway, working as a prime that had supply diversity and quotas or incentives to perform on these contracts. And I needed to develop some sort of capability or performance history. And I was able to do that under one of those contracts. And it was during the Hurricane Harvey and Irma is when we got the call for help, and we took that, and we said yes. Didn't ask how much the money was to do it. We just went, and we sent all the guys down. And then a day after, we started hashing out what these details of covering costs would look like. So my first reaction probably wasn't the most entrepreneurial reaction, which is Yeah, we're going to send everybody because I didn't ask who's covering what. It was a call for help and I took it. In hindsight, I'll never regret that decision because I think that showed exactly what type of company we are.
Mm-hmm. No, I like
My
that.
wife, who's the CFO, thought I was bananas, and for 24 hours, I'm like, I don't think we're going to get screwed, but we'll definitely cover something.
Right, right. No, that's awesome. Um, so what specific skills or lessons from your time in Navy CBs has been most valuable for you in running Broco Oil?
I mean, I'd just say just the culture of the CBs being can do. We can get things done on next to no equipment. The objective gets secured. Build this roadway, get over this waterway, construct this enclosure, and we would work sometimes with the bare minimum, or you go out in the woods and you see what you can find. But we got creative with working with very little supplies. That was the biggest. I carried that over. That was the biggest thing that helped me achieve getting Broco Oil off the ground. Was if you don't have capital and money to go buy these things, get creative, use manpower. We call it slip seat and truck. So if that I only have one truck in service, you never say no to the opportunity. You say yes and backfill it with some good old fashioned manpower, and that truck just runs 24/7.
Mm,
And that's the method I applied to growing Broco is we don't have the money to buy another truck, and we wouldn't even if we bought another truck, we couldn't get it in service fast enough. So we improvise and overcome. So the CBs had a good culture of that. They were a very can-do culture, which is their mottos, can do. And I have that on our railroad terminal, which has been a very new business model for us since last we spoke. We reactivated an old railroad behind our property, and we were digging up a lot of this rail. We were able to lift it up with our machines, and we got this rail line back in service. And we got multiple rail lines now that we've repurposed, laid down. And so being a steel worker in the Navy, like the railroad goes hand in hand. And then everything we do off that railroad is risky, hazardous materials. But again, I'm not afraid to take a risk. I mean, nobody's going to show you how to offload a rail car. So, I watch a YouTube video and say, you know what, I'm going to do this as safe as possible. What's the worst that could happen? And, I speak about these now. We do everything all the right way, but in the beginning, nothing was perfect.
right.
And I did it the way I would either transfer water at the firehouse from an engine to another engine and a relay to a house fire, or same thing as liquid petroleum. It's just you're moving liquid. So I looked at it more or less. We're moving water, and if something happens or if there's an incidental, it's going to be a lot more serious than a water being on the ground.
Right.
But we have that background and we know how to respond to emergencies. So being a veteran, being a fireman, the comfort zone is there for me to go and do a railroad transfer of hazardous material and be comfortable with it.
Mm. Uh, do you think that ties back into some of that military background?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right.
we'd try anything once. That was always we'd always say yeah, shit, well, we'll give it a shot. I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Right.
And
Right.
it's just trying something, and that's the recipe to success in life is you try it, you fail, you try it again. And I mean, don't let anything defeat you. You just keep moving forward. That's the biggest advice I give everybody is, fail as many times as you can, but don't be afraid to try something because you're afraid to fail. That's when the real failure sets in, is when you steer away from something because it's too risky, or you're afraid to fail in front of your peers or whatever. It's the biggest rewards that I've gotten in growing this business has been some of the scariest and biggest risks I've taken. But they usually lead to a brighter road. And not a lot of people it's a road less traveled, and usually veterans are willing to take that road. They're more bold of entrepreneurs. They go against the grain. That's the people that succeed in life.
Yeah, it's funny. We all hear that, but people are still afraid to take action, right? It's like you hear the words, we hear, and we're like, yeah, I know, yeah, we're gonna be tough, right? Like David Goggins type stuff, and then
Oh yeah,
they
and,
still sit on the couch
and
and
you
watch
got
Netflix.
that's the last guy you got to listen to, and then you sprint through a wall and make it happen
Right.
because
That's right.
yeah, he can move mountains, and his words are powerful. But and it's a different breed, and that's a 1%er. And shit, I would love to be in a 1%, of that. But yeah, listening to veteran podcasts is they're motivating, and people are embracing these more and more. I think 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't listen to a podcast. This was something so new to me. I was so busy, just head down, and I was grinding. I was working every single day. It was either if I wasn't at Broco, I'm at the firehouse, and it was like, I liked running that life, but it was, you're running around with, you know, 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. It's, but veterans do that. They do it well. They like chaos, and they function very well in those situations. But yeah, seeing things from a clearer picture and cutting off some areas of your life that, if you're focused on business, do the business 100%, and have, your well-being in the background. Your family's always first, and better balance is where I found my best success over the past few years have been, is just finding balance in areas that I was chasing, because at one point there could be too many opportunities, and now you're half-assing each avenue. And that's when I realized, I'm like, this is great for government contracting. I could do a million things. We could scale up big, but really at the end of the day, what's that revenue going to look like? And are you going to burn the wick at both ends, where you end up falling up short with the overall package? So sticking to what I'm good at, which is hazardous material, fuel delivery, emergency fuel, and not chasing, all these opportunities just to get awards. That's where I've found myself the last 3 years, is really getting focused on what started the path.
A different question. Can you share more about the role your wife played in the early stages of the business? And so you talk about balancing responsibilities.
Yeah, my wife, she was the back office. She was the CFO. I mean, I was operations. She was the back office. And as with any business, operations is good, and it's the main, revenue generator. But the back office, as you grow, that's the backbone. So my wife carried a heavy workload, doing the job of multiple positions: customer service, AR, AP, controller. She did it all. She helped me out a lot. She's my best employee.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah, she was the one that would help take all the orders. I mean, being in a truck and having a cell phone to the ear, I tried that for the first few years, but it's just, I was the only one that was just doing the operation. So it was tough, but she grew with me through that, and she helped grind it out. And, that was nice when I was able to start actually paying her for her labor, instead of, you got to take this road with me, which she never had to, but I was very thankful that she wanted to see me succeed. And she, she's the one who gave me the idea and said, you can do it. I never thought in a million years. I came from a veteran. My grandfather, my father, uncle, they're all veterans, and then they're all blue collar workers or public servants. So being an entrepreneur wasn't in my family blood. We were servants, public servants. We like to give back, serve the country. So yeah, I never called myself or think of myself as an entrepreneur. But I like to tell people, like, take the path, do it. If you're working this hard, try it on your own, and let me be that, maybe good example of you can make that. You don't have to have a business degree. I did end up getting a business degree, which helped me significantly bring the business to the next level. But I didn't have that when I first started.
Thank you. What advice would you give to other veteran businesses looking to secure their first government contract?
Ooh, definitely networking's huge. And I got a guy here, Sam Slater. I'm just going to show him. He's from Florida, and this is what this podcast and everything that Eric, me, and you spoke about in 2020. It's networking and paying it forward. I met Sam a few months ago at a conference. We was at one of the after conference dinners, and we hit it off. I think veterans can will gravitate, know who's in the room, and it's always a few guys that look like they could do really well, or they could clear out the whole room. You don't know which way it's going to go. Sam was definitely the guy that was grabbing first if shit goes down.
There you go.
So we hit it off. He does aviation fuel, and I'm like, this is a great match, because you know what, I see a lot of opportunities, and I said I would love to learn more about that, and he was asking vice versa. He'd like to learn more about my services. So this was a perfect match to say, you know what, we'll both learn off each other. It's not one, taking, being the student.
Right.
So right now, Sam came up to visit me and see my operation, and I'm gonna, go down and see his operation, and having those partnerships, I feel like we're gonna lead him to success with some prime contracts. And I'm gonna timestamp that today to hold me accountable that I will help this guy get a prime contract, because I said that'll make me feel the most achieved out of any other thing I could chase here, is seeing someone else having an opportunity that I had, and then growing and doing everything that I was able to do, which was supporting the local economy with hiring drivers, and you're supporting local. Yeah. So he's down in Florida, and he's ready to make an impact.
I love it. No, that's great. Yeah. And that's exactly what we're about, right? Make an impact, and then supporting the economy, hiring other persons who normally they won't be given a chance. And so I agree. I find that companies that are ran by veteran owners hire veteran employees, right? They understand what they've been through, right? Would you agree with that philosophy?
Especially like as I'm growing, I need middle managers that are like-minded. I need people very much that would, because operations and fostering a team, it's most important. Taking care of the people, and that the people come first. And if in my operation, that's what got us to where we are. My guys would do anything just because they don't want to do it right next to them. And that's the beauty of starting and growing a business is, you are ground up. And you get a lot of respect, and your employees will go the extra mile. Not saying that they wouldn't for second, third, fourth generation. It's just that company sculpted off who that founder is, and that's where the keeping that culture is the most important thing as you grow the company. Is what got you here? What's the culture of the founders? And doing things and doing the right thing. That's what we're all about. Respond to help. It doesn't matter what you don't need to even ask. Up our way, we just like to help. I said the money always comes if you have the right. If you lead with the right. With helping, you have your heart has to be in the right place.
I like it. You had a backstory to how you built relationships to secure the contracts with FEMA. Could you tell us that backstory?
Oh, there's a few backstories to it. It was
well, whichever story you want to talk about that led to you. Maybe it's not the FEMA, but working with other federal agencies.
Well, there's a lot of the opportunities we get is, hey, this guy won't, or these companies aren't willing to do this, and if it's places of disaster, rubble piles and stuff like that. That was like one of the best opportunities. Was like, I'll drive through anything. Like, nobody's willing to drive their truck through a disaster area because of all the debris. I'm
Mm.
like, my trucks were kind of shitty anyway. So I said, yeah, I'm going down there. My guys will figure out a way, to get it from A to B. So
Right.
we went into the disaster zones, and they're easily maneuvered. It's just, people will see, the overall assessment of, the sky footage and say, oh, that place is, you can't get through there. These trucks are meant to withstand, a good amount of wear and tear. And I said, yeah, let's go put them to the test. I want to see what that breaking point is. But, when you're going to bring fuel to a hospital for people that can't self-evacuate, that to me, that's a damn good mission. That's worth, you lose the truck, whatever.
Right.
That's not even the case in hand because we were able to get there so easily. I just was like, wow, if this is like people aren't willing to do this, I'll do this all the time.
Right. Right.
And then, the next day they let me know. I'm like, you're paying people this much money to do this? I said, that's a damn shame. I'd do this for half the amount just because I like to do it.
Right. Right.
But it was a world I wasn't used to. It was, it's tough because being a fireman, you go into an emergency, you are getting paid from a municipality or city to do it. But, those guys that are there that do the job, they love to help. That's why they're there. That's why they make it a career. So we got a decent name for ourselves, especially from being called all the way up from Boston. It's like, yeah, we love to do it. So shit, we're coming down no matter what. Even if, there isn't a call, I'm usually down there and, we're getting work regardless because we do a damn good job when we say we're going to be there and bring the fuel to a priority facility. It's there when I tell them it's going to be there.
Mm. I like that.
We actually got to Dallas, Texas during that deep freeze, and the guy thought I was joking, and he said it was a data center. He said, how realistically, when can you get here? I'm being told from my local supplier I can't get a delivery for at least for 48, 72 hours. I said, I can get there within 40 hours and 100,000 gallons. I got my guys, they were already working. It was a weekday, and I was able to deploy them within an hour, got the convoy down there, and I got the first fueling asset there in 36 hours. And we got that whole delivery made by 42 hours.
Wow.
And yeah, that was one of the best executions I've ever had. It was, I took it on as a challenge. I'm like, nobody else can do it. I'm like, he's like, this place is going to be out. And I'm like, well, how bad if it's out? And he's like, I can't even discuss that option. It's not an option. And it was a call for help. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to do it. And I said, whatever. The driver made it down there. I don't know how he did it, but he must have been drinking all sorts of energy drinks, getting his ass down there. And he did it. So, yeah, we just kept that operation. And then we ended up staying down there for like 2 months because, this guy referred us to the data centers and all these priority facilities started passing us around saying, these guys are getting things done. And we just did what comes natural to us. And we got the job done. Can do.
I like it. I like it. I like it. So tell me, as you're growing, right, what was one of the most significant turning points that led to your rapid growth?
The local turning point was just us getting to the 5-year mark.
Okay.
And we've had steady growth, good word of mouth. And really the first turning point was me taking on a job down in Washington, D.C. for there was a big snowstorm and everything was stuck and they had to bring snow melter operations down. So they were calling in Logan Airport assets, snow melter operations, and all these local contractors that own snow melters to bring it down into Washington, D.C. and Baltimore area. Actually Fairfax County as well, Virginia, and start doing but with snow melter operations comes a lot of fuel. So we went down there, and that we got a good name for going outside the box, and because these guys were coming from up here with the snow melters, so we knew that there was going to be work, but it's a heavy cycled fueling operation with close proximity, having so many snow melters running. So it ended up being like a logistical challenge because the city wasn't easy to get around. But for commercial customers, they saw that, oh, these guys are willing to go down there and fuel, and we were willing to do anything because not a lot of people up here were giving us the time of day commercially to start really, showing them what we could do. And then the Wynn Casino came in, Encore Casino, and that was a real big turning point because it was the first time someone had ever used me as an SDVOSB, and I was able to, capture all the fueling opportunities that were on that construction site on the dredging. So Steve Wynn and his strong commitment to seeing the local small businesses thrive during those construction periods. I'm so happy I went to the conference because I almost missed it. And if I missed that conference, I definitely would have missed the opportunity.
Ooh, that's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was one that I said, and then, shortly after was me chasing, the government contract that, we did pretty good on, and we got our name really out there.
It's interesting because you brought up the Wynn Casino, which I would think is a private contract, but they committed to veterans, which is interesting because we don't have a lot of that here in Florida. So that's interesting that you guys would have private companies committing to some of these socioeconomic goals.
Yes, yeah. I'll give it to Steve Wynn. There might be controversy around Wynn or Encore, but he's a veteran advocate. I mean, he has my support. Anybody that's going to support small business and veterans, that's the backbone of this country.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he never forgot about that. And I think a lot of the companies up in our area saw what he did, and there's big construction companies like Suffolk Construction that adopted exactly what Steve Wynn laid out for his project goals, and seeing SDVOSBs get on that list. It was always traditionally, it's either you're a DBE,
Right.
WBE, or MBE. And
Right.
I felt I was always left. I'm like, shoot, maybe this certification isn't for me. So on the state level, I was getting disappointed. I was certified for like 2 years, and I was getting nowhere. And my wife was like, kind of there, reminding me, wow, what a waste of time that was. I'm like, and then because I keep going to conferences, and I'd be taking time away from the business because I was an essential need. I was the face of the business. I was the one still making all the deliveries. Even though I had guys, I was building, but it was still a heavy need from just me to be there.
Right.
So that was her way to say, like, hey, I think I gave you enough time to go try to do what you want to do with this certification, but now it's time to cut the shit.
I like
But
that. Go ahead.
I made her a believer. There was only 2 times I really made her a believer. That was one, and then the other one was this DoD DLA contract that I was chasing, and I was told to bid the whole thing, bid the whole cog, and you'll be lucky if you get one of them. And it was 35 line items, 34 line items, did them all, and then hindsight, it was really what I did with under that FEMA prime contractor, FEMA, that response to Harvey and Irma, that I didn't realize maybe I am getting a performance. I at least had something to say, capabilities X. And then that award was sent to me beginning of October of 2017. Yeah, and I almost fell off my chair because I said the guy said I'd be lucky if I got one, and I got like 32 of the line items. Where
Wow.
I almost was like, wait a minute, holy shit! I'm like, he said bid everything. I don't have anything down in New Jersey, New York, and it. But you know what? It's a great problem to have.
There
Like
you go.
people like they get the blinders. I'm only going to do what it's like. No, I was so out of my comfort zone. Now I'm like, well, now I have to make good on all of this.
Right.
And we
Right.
scaled up. We got a bunch of used stuff, and we executed.
Boom. Love it. I
Yeah,
love
it was crazy. I called her because she actually got me so mad. I wanted this so bad, the contract so bad. I'm doing the prices, and I just want to get because I'm like, if I get one, I'm happy, and I'll just do it. I'll do it and I'll make nothing just to start building a performance history.
it. Right.
And that's what I was willing to do when I showed her what my pricing sheets were. Are you like, oh, you want me to change it? I said, I've been working months on this, months getting everything ready. And I got so freaking mad. I went back and I started changing things. And at that point, I was like, I had everything down. Okay, I'm not going to make this much money, but at least this is a start. And then I changed everything. And I couldn't believe I was like, in hindsight, I would never bid like that ever again. But when you don't know anything about government contracting and you just want to start getting a name out for yourself, I think any veteran that's a startup will say, I mean, shit, sometimes you have to do something for next to nothing to get, to the ultimate goal, which is
Right.
get the performance. Then you can prove yourself and then you get the bigger contract where you can make some money.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's a great story, you know? That's I like
It
that.
was. I thought I blew the whole thing, and I said, you know what? I'm changing everything. You like these prices, right? Because she was a very necessary. Uh, she was a necessary ultimatum for me to have, and just have judgmental eyes on. I needed some critics to oversee pricing because I was just so focused on opportunity, pricing. Yeah, but we have to make money doing the opportunities we're chasing because it doesn't make any sense to chase the opportunity.
Right.
And that's one thing that I sometimes see people doing some of the SDVOSBs is like, guys, like we can work together and we can really help each other, but sometimes the company comes in and they're like, all right, you didn't make any money. I don't understand that. um, you know just the admin cost of the paperwork and submitting it into DFAST for payment is, you know, it has to be at least $100,
Right.
you know,
Something. Right.
something. And yeah, but sometimes you see it, but again, I try to be like, would I've done that in that position? I just didn't know a lot of things. So yeah, I probably would have. But we try to teach SDVOSBs, make sure you make the money. That's what you're there to do, and grow a service, and you know get employees under your belt. That's what these contracts or set asides are really meant to do, is help you grow, get off your feet, and then start competing in the open market.
Hmm.
Which I've just been able to really start doing, which has been a beautiful thing. I can go against these other oil companies that I wouldn't be able to even stand next to them 5 years ago. I'm winning contracts fair and square,
Nice.
which is pretty cool. I like to say, and it's it's the program has worked when you
Yeah.
can start competing fair and square.
Yeah, I think that's the objective, right? The objective is business development, right? So they can grow your business so that you can, like you said, compete. So again, we kind of hold your hands, give you some additional assistance, give you some opportunities to get past performance, right? And then so that you can become a vital part of the workforce and employment jobs and everything else, and then training and because from everything that I'm doing, what I'm seeing is our industrial base continues to shrink. And so we need more persons like you coming into the world because, um, and I'm gonna lead to my next question. Like what you did with the terminal, right? That was sitting there. That you took that rail terminal that was just basically sitting there, right?
Yep.
So we need people
Yep.
coming in with that type of innovative mind and saying, okay, let's revitalize this and let's do something good with it rather than having this resource wasted or not be used. And we're complaining about the lack of whatever, lack of logistics, lack of getting
Yep.
things from one place to the next. And so, let's explain that process and the challenges of revitalizing the old oil terminal and how that's impacted your business.
So this opportunity that when we came in, there was a lot of companies that have seen it, but it was so heavily contaminated. There was a big cleanup to be had before, any type of occupancy, we could have, but they had some old storage tanks. The railroad wasn't utilized since like 1945 or something like that. So it was old and it was like overgrown. It was a lot of things. It was a homeless camp that was, on it. So this siding was just overgrown. It was basically woods now. So we and what seeing the potential, I said, well, storage is nice, but again, I have to keep that storage full. And I was always looking for a way of how can I, what could I be a competitive advantage? And my industry's it was almost defeating because it's like if you're not a oil or gas major, or or you have to be born into it to really, then that's when you can kind of get ahead. But to be a startup and just always grinding every day, what's the breaking point that can help me get ahead? And I think that's where it's like, it's the creativity. Okay, you got to think outside the box. Back in the day, the railroad used to be a very predominant mode of transport. That was a critical supply chain. The barge for our industry, a lot of the oil that we are taking in is imported. It's brought in by barge. So that's why you see all the oil terminals along, the port cities. And that's where the majority of the supply and that's where the best prices are. So I said, well, I'm going to take a shot at the railroad. We will, and everybody told me, no, it's a terrible idea. The econs aren't there. But I think I just wanted to learn that myself. And my goal was I just wanted to get a freaking rail car to even just get brought there. Just for the hell of it. I thought it'd be pretty cool to just see something get brought in and then maybe develop the concept of transloading and it didn't have to be oil. But the first rail car we took in was for a steel company down the street from me that was working on a bridge project. And it was 60-foot sections of rebar, coiled rebar. And I said, perfect, I'll offload it. I didn't have a crane or anything, but I just wanted to wait to see what the load is. And then I improvise and I'll get something offloaded with. And that's like what we'd do in the military. We would just wait to see what the load is. And we say, all right, well, we don't have a crane, but I have a tow guy that has a rotator that could definitely pick up that load. And that's exactly what I did. I networked with small companies around me. I say, I brought a rail car and I need to offload this. And we put it on a flatbed trailer and I had the truck. So I'm trucking it to the guy. And it was just nice to see a rail car get brought in. It just was, that's how America was built.
Right.
It's railroad. So we did that first. And now I said, okay, at least I know I can get a car called in. Because that was my biggest concern was, how do I even know? Nobody shows you how to do railroading. So I didn't even know what the siding's called. I just want to make sure that, all right, if this car comes in, it's someone else's car. So if it gets hung up, it's not my problem. So it was almost like a test run. Car came in and it was a class 2 railroad that was called a short line. They came in to serve us the rail car. I'm like, all right, this is a piece of cake. Now I'm like, all right, now I need to get a diesel car in here. And that was a challenge trying to get a diesel car in here because we didn't have credit with certain people or where we're pulling the car from, where it's getting filled up at the refinery. Then people would, well, what's the siding called? Okay, found out what the siding's called. Now they're Googling earthing. Well, we don't see any offload equipment. Where's the tanks? I'm like, don't worry about the offload equipment. I'll worry about it. And so certain people wouldn't send me a rail car. And then finally I got someone to send us a rail car that didn't ask anything. they just said, okay, yep, this is what it is. I'm like, yep, send it over. And then the rail car gets here, and this is oil. It was heating oil, and I said, all right, this shouldn't be too hard. And then I'm looking up, so I'm inspecting it with my guy, and I'm like, all right, we definitely need. All right, so we have to get a threaded valve, and we got to get an adapter. And he's like, I'm like, we're gonna watch a YouTube video to learn how to offload this. I'm like,
Oh, man.
we had to bring in one of our trucks and use it as an inline pump, and we did it. I'm like, just figure it like it's a fire department transferring water. Like think of this as water. We're transferring it, and we got to get it up to those tanks. So we used multiple connections of hose lines and adapters. We had the we had a good height pressure on the rail that it would just under the load of it just offloading through the manifold, that it had enough pressure to get it to the pump. So we were able to use our truck inline pump and pump it up into the storage tanks. And I said, this has to be successful. We watched a YouTube video, couldn't be that hard. And it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. So we started that, and it would have been against every OSHA violation, but I don't think a lot of true entrepreneurs, they want to take the chance, they're taking a risk, and it's like, it's a lot easier to ask for forgiveness.
Right. Yeah.
Nice. And I probably should say this on the podcast, but I'm going to be honest. It's I was willing to do whatever it takes to start gaining a competitive advantage or a supply chain that was never once in play for any company, especially oil and gas. And we got that going, and I'll tell you, we found a concept, and we found a rail partner, which was Chevron REG, and they took a shot on us. We started blending biodiesel, and again, a few people were doing it, but nobody was really embracing it. I said, well, this is an area where I can develop a niche. There was an opportunity. I have the railroad. I have a direct supply, and it's coming in right to next to my siding, to my storage tanks. I'm like, I have to make this work. That's where I can get ahead and be like, these big oil terminals that you see receive barges. So we did that, and then when COVID hit, Pan Am was bought out by CSX Railroad, biggest Class 1 railroad that serves the East Coast. And that changed everything for us. And now the people that had told me not even to look at it, it's not economical for you to do that. We have hundreds of rail cars rolling through here now.
Really?
Yeah, we're doing propane, heating oil, diesel, renewable diesel, biodiesel. We're actually doing scrap now, because we dug the railroad up all the way down the street into a property that we were kind of forced to acquire because we couldn't let someone else get approved for X amount of tons per day. It would affect our operation. I don't want to be a scrap guy, but we rented it out to a good partner that does scrap, and I'm helping him I'm his railroad partner, his rail logistics partner, with helping him get rail cars. We shred it. We have a rail scale. But we dug this track all the way down the street for probably a half a mile, and it kept going. And we lifted it up. We respiked it. We got some ballast underneath it, and we just kept pushing the rail cars down. So we did it the old-fashioned way, and we just see where this ends. And it went all the way down into the other property, which, Sam, you saw that. I was showing Sam, it's hard to explain, what you do, and then we've expanded so much. So I told Sam we do a lot more, but
yeah,
what'd you think of it?
No, it's slow attrition into his networking capabilities in the local area. It's awesome to see, and just based off of and Robert operates like solely off of networking. We couldn't even go from like building to building without people stopping us and like wanting to chat with us and stuff like that. It's just almost overwhelming at one time, but that's the crux of what we do in the veteran community, and that's what he does here. So yeah, it's fun to be the grasshopper, the student under Bobby right now.
He's gonna do that down in Florida.
Yeah.
Hey,
We're gonna find something. I'm gonna dig up something.
no, I mean, we know, and again, when you start, and I don't know where he lives in Florida, but I can tell you where my family grew up. There's a lot of vacant buildings and facilities similar, right? So my friend bought a concrete plant in Alabama that was sitting empty and nobody was using it. And he bought this concrete plant, yeah, in Alabama. And he same thing like with your rail cars. And he was like, yeah, this concrete plant is sitting here. It's been abandoned. And he reached out to the company and said, "Do you guys want to sell it? It's been sitting here." And they said, "Well, I mean, no one's offered to buy it because it was abandoned." And they said, "Okay, yeah, we'll sell it to you." And they said, I think they wanted like $100,000. He goes, "I'll give you 20 grand." He's like, "You're not using it. It's a bit." He bought it for $25,000. Today, he's revitalized it. And he's also a veteran as well. Again, like you said, veterans take chances. They see other people don't chance. So guess what? Now he was able to use his veteran-owned status to get, and now he owns a facility, right? So like I said, now he owns a concrete plant, right? And it's a little operation, but he was able to leverage that to now get contracts to do roadway work because he actually owns the plant. He's not a middleman. He's not a third party. He's the owner. And so he was able to leverage that to get contracts and then expand his operations and build it out from there. So
Eric, after this, I would like to visit that man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right on my alley.
This is the kind of stuff that when he told it to me, and I was like, wow, if you just can go, you could drive around lots of places, especially small town USA, and see these types of things sitting there existing that people just don't know when opportunity slaps in the face, they don't even know what to look for. So
yes,
that's why your story for me is so reinvigorating because anyone can do this. It's sitting there in front of your faces and we're just not looking for it.
And honestly, this whole, the government contracting, everything, there's all the, this is part of the story, and it's a very big block in the steps as we keep going. But when we did that scrapyard, I mean, I didn't have the funds to do it. I knew I had to protect my investment, but the city came forward when I said, I have no choice, but again, it's always like when I think I'm getting ahead and then all of a sudden something necessary to protect all the investment you made for the rail, the storage, and then, well, I thought we have, that's our tracks. No, it's not. The Federal Railroad has a right to serve any customer. They can go through your tracks. It's in your best interest to purchase that, to protect it. What are you gonna? I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I can't allow that to happen because then there goes my operation. I'm gonna be getting moved aside with all these, if it was a solid waste or any type of transfer station, these rail cars are going to be going every day, and I'll have no operation just through the amount of rail cars they had. So I was able to protect that, but then the city comes to me and they said, "Bobby, like, you're doing great things and we see you growing and you're hiring locally." And it was the first time I was told that there was we're in an economic development zone. We're in a gateway city that which has a lot of access to federal funding. And now that they seen what I did at the terminal, and they offered me, well, we can put you in for this EDIP program, and they help take relief of the property taxes. They help you upgrade the building. They help you search for grants to upgrade the building. And if you're hiring new employees, you can apply for basically an employee tax credit for all new hires. And the place that we revitalized, it was in a hub zone. So now it's like all these things start popping up, and now I'm like, now I gotta develop a concept. But I never knew that these things were out there, and someone saw like shit. I just kept I'd get ahead one step, and right when I'm ahead, I'm 5 steps back. And again, it's the climb, and it's all good progress. But I'm like, when does this end? Because my wife would be like, we're just living for this business. Well, she's like, yeah, but my daughter will be good. I'm
Right.
like, but I don't want her. I'm like, she needs to learn how to grind too. I'm like, and I'm not
Right.
grinding until I just drop dead and not be able to enjoy it. So my wife has always been the one. I'm like, she's like, but you don't know how to slow down. She's like, you just have a opportunities happen to people that see him. Like that was a diamond in the rough. And brought us to another opportunity, which was two old abandoned mill buildings that I showed Sam.
Uh-huh.
I was the mayor of the city said, you know what, go see, Bobby Brown, see if he will buy those buildings. He said he seems to do really well developing concepts, and it was actually I was telling Sam, I'm like, it's perfect because there's a food manufacturing facility next to it. I said I'm going to run this railroad right across the street, and I'm going to get 1,200 rail cars of flour rolling into these silos. Mm-hmm. So I have a business development plan, but then I got how the hell am I going to renovate these two mill buildings? They're like two elephants, and beautiful infrastructure, but I'm like, but you know what? It's a challenge, but I'm trying to figure out how we can do an industrial manufacturing play and have an activity on the railroad where we're supporting some type of business. So these are the things that are actually bogging me down from chasing federal contracts. And I told Sam, please backfill it because I haven't been chasing the way I should be. But it's really, these contracts are meant, you get ahead and bid what you can, especially everything you could self-perform. That's where you really can get ahead, is when you build those capabilities by building your team with that contract.
So, I've got a guy I can recommend to you on helping you with those mills on the renovation side. And I just looked at my buddy's company. You're really going to like him, the one that did the concrete plant. As I was pulling up his company, I forgot he expanded his capabilities to rail services.
Get out of here.
This is his company, SDAC.
Oh my God.
This is his capabilities. So this is my buddy who's the veteran down in Alabama. And this is their capabilities. Yeah. He's a big player now. But again, he started off, and like I said, he was the one I was telling the story about the concrete plant. Yeah. Now,
I'm just going to go down there to shake his hand.
Yeah. So he's also a fellow veteran. And like I said, I mean, we talk.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, he's built. It's funny because I was looking him up while you were talking about it, and it's hilarious how now he's got rail capabilities that they're doing as well. He's grown a really significant operation down there, and
I'd love to connect with him just for the fact that we're kind of like a logistics arm to some of these disasters for laydown areas, and
oh yeah,
I mean he would be a great partner to help. If he's
absolutely
in Southern Alabama or anywhere in Alabama.
Yeah. So we'll make that connection. And then, like I said, again, I do all my projects in the Northeast, I told you before, you probably forgot, but the guys that I work with are out of Providence. And so they do all of the Citizens Bank renovations. And then we work on all of the naval bases. I just won a contract at Portsmouth. We started working on some projects right now at Portsmouth. You remember I told you I was bidding a job to do some demolition and we had to pull it out by rail car. You probably forgot. Yeah. We're working right now. We're just finishing up projects at Newport Naval Base. We were working at Groton Sub Base the last 4 years, and we just started at Portsmouth Naval Yard. And I've done stuff at Charlestown. We did the Bunker Hill Monument renovation. We did all of that renovation.
Oh, really?
Outside all the gates. Yeah. We had to lift up the stair treads because they were cracking underneath. So we had to take and dig up those stones and pick up those things are like 8,000 pounds each step, and then backfill them. All of the water that runs underneath it had crushed all the piping and everything. So it was getting infiltrated, and that's what caused the steps to crack. And as you know, that's a very frequent monument with the school kids and stuff. And so it became very dangerous for the kids to go there. So we just finished those projects. We redid National Parks headquarters downtown, right there where you start the trail. It's right downtown Boston. Yep. We did the whole renovation there, right across from the new Citizens Bank headquarters. So I do a lot of work in the Northeast. So we have roots down there. So I can introduce you to my contractors.
Yeah, I'd love to host you. I'll take you out for lunch up here.
Yeah.
I'll
No,
drive
I
you
was
around.
there. Yeah. So we're doing a lot of work up there. But I mean, on those old mills, we did a project up in oh my gosh, where was that in Mass? It was
Lawrence or Lowell?
Lowell, Lowell,
Lowell.
Mass. There was an old building up because there's a lot of national park stuff up in Lowell where they used to do all the manufacturing. And
Yes.
so
Yep.
we had a country up there where it was an old building and we had to change every single window in that old mill up in Lowell, Mass. And it was like 100 and no, it was 300 windows. And we did that and it was over a canal down in Lowell. So
Did you take advantage of any of those, keeping, the refacing it, but keeping the aesthetic
no,
exterior look
they
to it?
replaced all the windows, everything.
So there's like historic tax credits that
We,
there's all sorts of.
it was a federal contract, so we weren't
Okay.
we just did what they asked us to do as per the scope.
Oh, yeah, because these mill buildings, I'm like, I'm going to need some help. And the state's always good to show you what's out there.
Well, these guys have done that historic work, so they might know where the money is at too, because they have a performance of history of doing historic renovation work, which is very specialty type of work.
I really would like to, because and the guy that owns it is a veteran that Sam met, and he's like, Bobby, I know you could do something great with this. I'm like, man, it's like you couldn't wait a year, Mike. I'm like, I'm just getting my head, and my wife will damn near leave me if I tell, hey, I'm taking on another opportunity. But I know it's a good opportunity, and Mike wanted me to. There's a bridge that connects it to a walkway bridge, still in the city, and I was going to do a whole military veteran tribute on each side of it. That, and these are the things that like Mike is really. He's like, this ain't going to no corporation. If it's going anywhere, it's going to go to a veteran. I'm like, yep, that one might get me divorced. So,
No. Hey, listen.
But they're beautiful. I see the opportunity, and I'm like, Jesus, that is the veteran's downfall. We're friggin' hunters. We're like Vikings. We're gonna go and explore, and we're gonna figure out what's what and make it happen. But don't forget about home base.
Yeah. No. Listen, again, I'm not. I will say this. I know what you're saying because if we tell them the shiny object, I'm not here to tell you to chase any shiny objects. I'm only saying, hey, you said, hey, you want to see this? I can connect you. But I'm not going to tell you to go do anything extra outside of what you already have going on.
No,
so that's my. So don't tell your wife. Look, Eric did
never.
not.
No. She's already been on this path, but I think about it at night. I wake up, and the more I think about it, and it's fun. There's a P on the Pease base or in Portsmouth.
Mm-hmm.
I had an opportunity to fuel that project that they have going on there. And they said I didn't have access. I've been in there a bunch of times under, the military spot buys.
Yep.
And I needed someone to sponsor me.
Listen.
And I lost that opportunity.
Hey, we have a 5-year contract right now that we just signed a week ago to be out there at the base.
Will you sponsor me to?
Yeah.
I just need a sponsor.
Yes. We have a contract out there now that you can probably operate underneath that as a sponsor.
Oh my God.
I know the decision maker because we literally, I won't show it because we're still recording, but but we have so we were and just for context, and I want everybody listening because this is still recording. I've been trying to get on that base for 4 years. So this didn't happen yesterday. This didn't happen overnight. I've been trying to get on that facility for 4 years, and it took a change in leadership and some new blood to come in there to give people like ourselves a chance because the old guards were not allowing in new entrances into that facility.
Yeah. What was that about? Because it was insane.
Yeah. So, I spoke with some of their small business personnel I was visiting that base back in 2019. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going into doing my presentation, telling them our capabilities. Hey, we're supporting all these other places. We're doing blah, blah, blah. The company I was with was doing about 20 million a year. And we're like, hey, we've been doing all this type of work that you guys say that you need help with. And I went up there a couple times, and I just never got calls back. I never got invited back, and I'm following up, and I'm like, you know, and so I said, do you really guys really want help? Because you're claiming that you've got all this work coming down. You only have 3 or 4 major contractors. They've run out of
Mhm.
people and bodies because there's no other. They said they don't want you to take them from the existing labor pool because they don't have any more. And we said, look, we have people that are working for us from Maine traveling to Boston because the wage rates we pay them are higher in Boston than the rates in Maine.
Yep.
You know all this stuff. And we go, we
Oh,
can
yeah.
get them. If you give us the work, we can get the local guys to stay there, not come to Boston and work on the projects because it's closer to them from driving into the city. We told
That's a
them
perfect.
all of this. That's a perfect match because
Yeah,
they don't have to drive.
that's
So we're like, we have it. We're union shop, right? We're signatures to the carpenters unions. So we can get you the bodies there, but we need the contracts. And so we're like, we're solving all your issues. And by the way, we have an office in Newburyport just outside of the entrance to the base. You know where Newburyport's 20 minutes outside the
oh yeah,
base.
it's right there.
We got a
So
facility in Newburyport.
that's crazy.
So we know that you don't have laydown area because it's a small site. There's not a lot of space. You know all these things. So we can stage our stuff in our office in Newburyport and then bring it in as we need to just work on as we're working on stuff for that day or the weeks. So we didn't even need,
Yeah.
so we were trying to we've kind of solved all the things that you're saying you have issues for. But long story short, what we learned was that it was just the guard. It was the whole system that
Yeah.
they wanted who they had. They just wanted to complain about it, but not really do any effective change. And so some of those
I
people
can't believe that.
left, and we had the fortune and privilege of servicing the down in Newport. We worked with some people down there that got transferred up to Maine. And so then
Ah,
they were
I,
like, hey, we're looking for some new blood. You guys want to come to Maine? We're like, we've been trying to get to Maine for 4 years. We've been trying to get up there.
I can't believe that. And
So
it's
took that.
honestly, I remember, and I didn't realize how much of an I mean, we lost a big fueling opportunity because we got the GLX Green Line Extension project
Okay.
down in Somerville. It was a great job for us. It was Middlesex Construction and a few other JV'd on that. Kind of very similar to what's going on up in the Portsmouth
Okay.
Kittery.
Yep.
And the guy's like, yeah, Bobby, we loved you. And it was, I mean, I kept 4 guys busy during our slow season. And it's a way for me to keep guys instead of laying people off. And that
Sure.
project, and now I'm bearing down. And I'm like, if I had that, I would be able to really keep my guys going. Big opportunity, big fuel. And yeah, we'd do it at a good price. I mean, I know I'd be probably the cheaper one out of whoever's doing it.
Yeah.
So I'd love
No.
to try to get my foot
Okay.
in the door on that.
Yeah. I'll introduce you to the owner and the team out there who's working on that stuff. So I'll do
I
that.
appreciate
Yeah.
it. That is awesome.
Yeah. They're out of Providence. And then like you said, we had the office in Newburyport, but
Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right in Haverhill, man. I can get to you in 20 minutes.
hey, like I
Actually,
said,
less.
and then we're actually doing some stuff down at Newport where we're doing some demo stuff that's being that we're hauling out with trucks. But I know we've had some hazardous projects that had to be hauled out of state previously. So I know we were looking at railways to get it out of there, to get it hauled out of state, to go to certified like hazardous decontamination sites. So
Yeah,
that
you
was some
need
stuff
the
that
chain of custody, and we can
yeah,
generate all that paperwork for
right.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we could take the containerized. We have a partner that does C&D for separation. If
okay.
we can
Yeah,
help you out the
see
tipping
what
rate on what those rates are. I mean, there's a lot. We have a rail scale, and we have a truck scale. So if it's heavy iron scrap that that you have, I mean, that's the stuff we could do, and that's in the hub zone. I'm
yeah.
working on getting that certified.
Okay. So yeah, no, that's perfect. And it's funny because speaking of conferences, the Hub Zone conference is coming up. I'll be speaking at that
Oh,
conference.
is it?
Yes. So if you know the Hub Zone conference is coming up, I think I have to look up the dates, but just look up Hub Zone conference. It's coming up. It might be worth going. I will be there.
I'm going. I need to go because I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
All right, go there. And then Michelle Burnett is she's the president of that organization. She's a good friend of mine. So definitely, if you're wanting to do that Hub Zone, you should probably be at that event.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, every time I'm in on, I learned so much just with doing a podcast, and you know, we're networking right now, and we don't
Right,
realize.
exactly. We're networking and recording it at the same. And this is what I try to tell people is that okay, it's July 23rd through 25th. So I just pulled it up.
Easy.
Yeah. So
That's my slowest season too.
there you go, Chantilly, right there.
Perfect.
So definitely, I'll be down there. All right. So, you know, we done talked about our own stuff afterwards. A couple things. Well, we talked about your long-term goals. How do you maintain a strong team culture, right? And ensure that all your employees feel valued and motivated?
You know, as the years went on, from you know the hard growth and everybody boots on grounds. I mean, we realized that we were, you know, everybody was working equally as hard. But I like to do the team building events. I host a lot, you know, the Christmas party, and we do employee appreciation days throughout the summer, which is our slowest time. And I think the biggest one we were able to do was really just my wife worked for so many years to make this happen, and she took great pride in offering it. Was offering the employees 100% paid health insurance. So I feel like, you know, nobody's going to take care of our people better than me. I mean, I think that's the only reason why I'm successful. I have great people around me. It's you know, so it's easy for me to, you know, go and coordinate activities, you know, for bonding.
Right.
You know, some of those high performers that we had over the winter time, they went above and beyond. We took them to the Kentucky Derby. So, you know, the storm response team, that's a whole other outing because these guys will be eating lead chips off the windowsills and they want to drink beer. So, like, it's knowing who your people are and knowing, you know, we have one group that will run through a wall for you. Those are our storm guys. And we usually bring them out separately because they're a rowdy bunch. And then the office is a little bit, it's a different, you know, not different culture, but it's more like my wife's temperament, cool, calm, collective. So, you know, we have a good balance and we have a good team of all different, you know, we have every mix in here when it comes to personalities, but they all mesh well. It's and it's, you know, just them knowing that we're willing to work alongside them, you know, during the toughest times. And that's what I think really just keeps us grounded and us growing is knowing that I'm never going to be a guy putting a suit and tie on and you're going to see me walking into the office. I'm always ready to work every day. I think that our company culture, you know, seeing that, knowing that we're always working, we're working to do better for the employees, and just hosting, you know, bonding events or family events that we'll do barbecues and bring the kids, everybody who has kids, and just have family days. So those are the little things we do that I think makes a difference overall. Where a lot of my competition been getting bought up by larger corporate companies, people will leave and come to us because we're not that. We're a small business.
I like it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. No, that's great. That's great. And it's true. It's happened all over the country. People are being bought up by these larger organizations. Seeing that everywhere.
Yeah, I'm looking around. I'm like, whoa, this has changed. I mean, I was able to grow through these guys buying each other out, and when recession 2008. I mean, it was a bad time, but a good time because I was kind of like, okay, this guy, you know, is a local guy and he's just starting. So it was a good opportunity for us during a bad time. And now there's all these big conglomerates around us. And but we're putting up a good fight, and it's customer service that's being the differentiator.
Sure. What strategy do you use to train and develop new employees, especially those without prior experience in the oil industry?
Say the beginning part again.
How are you training new employees?
Honestly, I don't look so much on the experience at this point. Like for drivers, yeah, you have to have a class, A or B, that gets you in the door. I like to do like a personality assessment. And I like to see what type of people we're dealing with, and we will have them just, especially key positions that would be working closely with others in the office. We use these indexes, and you could see, and they come fairly close. We just adopted this last year, but the cultural fit is the most important thing. You could be the greatest worker, you could have the greatest resume. It's really the cultural fit is everything else is trainable. And that's what I've realized. I'm willing to sacrifice your time and experience for someone that just wants to work hard and willing to learn. So, and that's why I try to be at every interview. And for a while, as we were growing, we were moving fast and furious. And I'm like, who the hell is that? I'm like, that person ain't going to make it. I could already tell. They, sitting in one of the managers' chairs, young. If I was 20 years old, I would run everywhere I was going. It's just,
Right.
And I kind of resorted back to how, paramilitary, not like we're stern, but, we got to move with a purpose and, making sure you keep that culture the same as when you started. So yeah, just people being open, willing, and team players. There's a lot of individuals lately. And if you're a driver, that work to a point, but everywhere else in this operation and the service and propane divisions and the rail, it's a team effort. So making sure we have people that work together in groups is also important. So training, you really just we do hands-on on the job training, and then we'll do refreshers. I get the guys out to the fire academy to see how to put out a propane tank during a fire, or if it's flaring. So we've invested, we've taken advantage of small business grants for training, where we'd get everybody OSHA 10, OSHA 30 certified and stuff like that. So I just hunt out, and we've adopted our own internal training program for HazWhopper. So we were able to actually train all new people, and really make it tailored specific to the hazards that are right at our terminal. So we're able to kill two birds with one stone and make it very familiar with what they're seeing outside.
I love it. No, I like it. I like it. Are you still a full-time firefighter?
No, I had to give it up.
All right, I was wondering, man. Last
I grew the beard out, so I was burning the wick at both ends.
Yeah.
And I just I had a back injury, and it really just, I had taken a step back and seeing everything, and I'm like, you know what, when you turn 40, things change. And my daughter's now 10, and you're like, is it worth burning the wick at both ends? But I loved it more than anything. I think I always attribute a lot of my success, and the reason why the company is where it is because I was able to bring a fire department, culture, and all the energy from being a fireman, inject it into a company that does a very similar thing on a private side. And just going out, and that's where the success all started. I said I wasn't an entrepreneur. I was just a meathead fireman. But we could do a lot of good with willing to run into anything and just take the call and never say no.
I love it. I love it. Are you doing any community service things?
Right now we're just we do our outreaches with especially veterans. So we love to do the touch a truck events. We're doing the River Ruck with City of Haverhill. I make all the Memorial Day parades. We stage all of our tribute trucks. South Boston, Saugus, Haverhill. I think one in Newburyport, Boston.
Okay.
So we're always at events, but you know, those are the things we love to do. And then we do a little bit of Habitat for Humanity when we can. There was a Sergeant Johanny from Lawrence, you know, that family that had lost a daughter during that terrible evac from Afghanistan. You know, that's a local family, and you know, the small businesses get together. We try to, you know, do whatever's needed for the house. There was a renovation needed, so we offered our, you know, service division to do whatever for the heating system, AC. Yeah, we're always trying to give it back one way or another. But that's just, you know, doing what we can for the community, and you know, knowing that's who we are, and you know, in time of need, they always refer us. And if it's something that is a veteran in trouble, I mean, that's, you know, we love filling up someone's fridge ahead of Christmas, or dropping off some presents for a family that might not be able to afford it.
I love it. I love it. Well,
yeah. We don't obviously promote it, but about it, but yeah, that's the stuff. I mean, my wife will go buy 300 jackets and drop it off to the Lazarus house over in Lawrence, and yeah, those are the things that, you know, when you can give, that's the best place to be.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, listen, I've got to wrap up. I appreciate it. Why don't you leave the small business community with some parting words before we let you go today?
Don't be afraid to take risks, take on every challenge. If you can find a way, make a way.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. It's great reconnecting again after, you know, like I said, after so many years. It's funny because it's like I said, we've been doing this now since 2018 full time. And so it's like, hearing the stories and where people have come and their progression and growth is extraordinary. And
no, I was actually, I was pumped when I'm like, shit, he remembers me. I'm like, I thought he forgot about me.
No.
We got to jump on this again.
Hey, man, no, listen, you know, and we've got I mean, when we started then, we had a small base, and now we've got a huge base of listeners. And so this is great. So expect some more people to want to join your team after hearing this.
I'll tell you, and if we do this again, I'm going to have a better backdrop, and I want that alligator, dude.
Yeah, right. I know.
I need that.
You know, I know.
I like that.
Thank you. No, I just had to redo it. It's funny now. That thing is well, I went to the University of Florida, so we're models gators. So
I mean, I think I need that. I gotta get that. That would go to my office.
Yeah. Well, I got a buddy of mine also that goes gator hunting. So if you want to go gator hunting down in Florida, he'll take you gator hunting.
Yes, I want to do all that.
Man, listen, we have it. We have it.
I'm talking to you after this shortly. We got to sync up.
All right. We'll sync up. All right, sounds good. Let's close it out. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming on.
All right, thanks, Eric. I appreciate all you do.